Alright, hi everyone. My name is Anis Koram. I wanted to start this YouTube channel to kind of share my joy for cooking. Not really looking to do anything fancy. Most of my recipes are going to be very simple, straightforward, and most likely under 20 to 30 minutes. And also just a way for me to kill some time during the pandemic. Thought I'd have some kind of creative outlet to spend some of my time. But yeah, I've accumulated some tips and tricks over the past 10-15 years. I cooked professionally for a few years in my early 20s and have been cooking ever since, just at home and for friends. So I thought I'd share some of the skills I've learned. So anyways, here we go. The first recipe I thought we'd start with is a 3-egg classic French omelette. There's tons of different ways to make omelettes, but I thought I'd start with this one because it's both simple but requires quite a bit of finesse and teaches you as you learn to refine it, teaches you some basic skills. It's seemingly simple, but it's actually very difficult in some ways to make a classic French omelette very well. I'm not very good at it, but I thought I'd give it a go. So here we go. To begin, obviously you need some eggs, some parsley. You can use any herb really. Chives are quite popular. Parsley is good. I had some parsley growing in the garden, so I thought I'd use that. So first thing I'd say to do is get your pan on the stove. I add some water and start heating up the stove just so I know when the pan is ready. The bubbles or the water starts bubbling and evaporating, and once it's evaporated, you know your pan is hot enough. You don't want to get it scorching hot, but pretty hot. I'd say like a medium heat, medium high. You're also going to need a lot of butter, so I got some butter here. That might not be enough, so I'll get some more. And I'll get my knife. I always hone my knife before I start cooking. This is a honing rod, if you don't know what it is. And pretty much it doesn't sharpen your knife per se, but it actually realigns the metal at a, I guess, molecular level. So it's a quick fix. It won't, if your knife's really dull and damaged, it's not going to fix it, but if it's still in good condition, you can get it nice and sharp by using this. And pretty much you hold it at a shallow angle, maybe around 15 to 20 degrees, and you lightly, not too lightly, but with firm pressure, you kind of slide it going up. This is one way to hold it. So I do it on one side a couple times, the other side a few times. Switch back and forth, and I'd say maybe 10-15 times per side is enough. And you can kind of hear it getting nice and sharp. I'd say that's enough. You check with your finger. Yeah, it's super sharp now. So water's bubbling a bit, so that means I got to get my stuff ready. It's my first video, so I'm probably gonna screw this up, but here we go. Get your eggs in. I never crack on the corner of anything just because the shells sometimes break into the egg, and also you introduce bacteria into your egg. So you don't want to do that. I just break it on a hard surface. So you want to whisk your eggs really good. Almost to like a froth. Introducing some air into it. Not a meringue or anything, but you don't want to see like yellow and white separation. It should all be homogeneous. That's good. And you can see it's quite runny. That means you got some good air incorporated. Next, oh shoot, sorry. Not used to this headband. Get some salt, not too much, not too little, kind of to your taste. Some pepper. And then your herbs. So a good way to shave your herbs, I kind of get it all in my hand, and kind of, when you have a lot, this is especially helpful. You kind of bunch it up into a really, really tight ball, and then using the tip of your knife, because that's the sharpest point, you shave it off. Learning good knife techniques is extremely important when it comes to cooking. It's a lot safer, and you become a lot more efficient. So I'm rolling it as I'm getting to the end, and maybe one last final chop. The sharper your knife, the less bruising for your herbs, so you don't get any like oxidization or any liquid bleeding out from the herbs, which is good. So my pan is pretty close. Place this in. I'd say my pan is getting pretty hot, so I'm gonna pour out the water. And so I got maybe like a tablespoon of butter there. I'm gonna throw that in. I'm gonna be using chopsticks. Some people use forks, but on a Teflon pan, I don't really like using metal, even though you can do it in a way that doesn't touch the bottom. It's kind of tricky, but chopsticks are really good. Whisk is good too, but I find chopsticks to work the best. Takes a bit more patience and skill, but over time you can learn to use chopsticks. So you melt most of your butter. Pan is still pretty hot. Then you throw your eggs in. And this is the most important part. You start whisking vigorously, both your hands and the pan at the same time. Or sorry, both the pan and your utensils, in this case chopsticks, at the same time. You want to create small curds. I'm not going to talk much during this part so I don't scrub. So right when it's about to become homogeneous, or like it's becoming hard, you tilt it forward and you start rolling your egg like this. Okay? And then, if you want at this point, you get a bit more butter. As the French say, beurre. And you get it underneath your eggs, like that. And then you run your chopsticks around the back. And then, this part's pretty cool. If you can get it, you start tapping your hands and you see how it lifts up. Do that. So you can fold it over. And then you begin to kind of press it into the rest of the eggs. Just like that. And at this point, if you have any fillings, they can kind of go into this section. It can be, I don't know, avocado, cooked vegetables, mushrooms, anything really. You can stuff it in that section. And a French omelette, most classic chefs like it quite runny, and I like it quite runny as well. So what I do at this point is it's quite runny on the inside. Still, as you can see, quite wet. You grab your pan underneath, kind of like forearms up. Grab your plate and you just flip it over. And I've overcooked it. So this is a good example of overcooking your classic French omelette. This would be more of a country omelette, although the inside is still quite runny, but you don't want any browning. I mean, in the end, it's going to taste good, so it doesn't really matter, but if you want that nice, soft, creamy consistency all the way through. My wife just walked into the kitchen and she's smiling at me because this is my first video. She's wondering what I'm doing. But Amy, it smells good, exactly. That's what it's all about. So there you go. You have your French omelette right here. So I'm gonna bite into it. Yeah, you shouldn't get that browning, but that's okay. I let it, my plate wasn't ready, so I let it sit in the pan for a bit too long. But as you can see, I'm not sure if you can see, maybe from that angle, it's quite runny on the inside, which is how I like it. Small curds. You don't have big lumps or anything. It's very good. If you're getting good quality eggs, I wouldn't worry too much about salmonella or anything like that. If it's like free range, organic. And your eggs are getting really hot, so probably most of that stuff would be killed off anyways. You want a bite, Amy? You won't be in the video, don't worry. Just your hands will be. You can tell.
In the video, sure.
Yeah. So you can see on the computer you're not in the video. Yummy? YouTube worthy? Okay. It's my
Of course.
Oh, there's my dad. He can be in the video.
Good.
So anyways, that's that. I'll probably make another one in the future with better technique. See ya.